It's the Unnamed Record-ology Podcast, Week 7.
Yes. Welcome, you guys.
We're so glad you're here.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes. Now, we are going to be talking about automatic versus manual turntables. But before that, we have a winner to announce.
Yes. So thank you guys so much for sending in all of your great stories.
Mm-hmm.
It was super hard to pick.
It was hard to pick. It was so much fun reading all the entries.
Oh my gosh, you guys have some great stories.
Such great stories. We had short ones, we had long ones, we had just really well spread dynamic of stories of all types, and we had a blast reading them.
We did. It brought up so many of our own memories from the fall and from Halloween's in the past.
Yeah, and so we decided we were going to share a little memory briefly with you before we pick our winner or announce our winner. So I'll start. When it comes to Halloween memories, I remember my dad was sort of the driving force behind us, doing the pumpkins and carving them. And every year it was a big decision whether or not the pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern, was going to smile or if he was going to have a smiley face or a frowny face. And I seem to always remember picking a smile whenever I could. And even years later with the kids, when we would carve pumpkins, I would always opt for that classic pumpkin smile and I also remember the kids, everybody decorating their own, and I remember Tyler, our son in specific, would always make the funniest ones. Like, remember the time he had the giant pumpkin with the tiny face in the middle?
There was some great ones.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And the time that I think someone carved a car logo into one of them.
Yeah, I may or may not have done that. Yeah.
The Jeep logo.
The Jeep logo in there. Yeah, exactly. How about you? What's one of your favorite Halloween memories?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. But I think one year the kids dressed up like Thing 1 and Thing 2.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and that was a really great Halloween.
That was a good time. I also remember our son coming up with the most unique.
Yes.
Like, I remember they were so specific, the stuff, and I was like, I don't think anybody's going to get this, but he was determined. So, okay.
Yeah. He had some great ones.
He had some great ones. Very, very creative child. All to this day. Both of our kids have incredible creativity.
Really great. Yeah. And now it's just so fun to see the traditions continue and how they are now carving pumpkins and doing all the fun things.
Yep. And painting pumpkins.
Yeah.
And that was a thing, too. When the kids were too young to carve, we would paint pumpkins.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool. All right, so who is our winner after all these incredible... We had a lot of entries. Who was our winner?
All right, our winner is...
Dun, 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 dun. Drum roll, please.
Janet Anderson.
Yes, all right, Janet.
You had such a great story about...
Yes, you did.
Your costume contest and, and not being recognized. And then all of a sudden... winning that costume contest, and that
was really good.
It was so neat because it brought back memories for me of when we would do the church fall festival and all of that kind of stuff. So thank you so much for sending that in. And also I have to do a little shout out to someone else who had sent one in that was about like hay rides. And I was thinking of all the times that we had done hay rides.
Yeah. So much fun. So much fun. Congratulations, Janet. You won the Fozzie Audio Visualizer, and we will get that shipped over to you in the next week or so. If you haven't done so already, send another email with your address so we know where to send it. You may have already done that. And if you didn't win, don't feel bad because there's other giveaways coming real soon. And I mean real soon, like the end of October, because what's coming up at the end of October?
Yes, we're going to do a Halloween live. Well, you're going to do a Halloween
live.
Wait,
we are going to do it? So, hey, I think she said we. So I think you're going to...
No.
Yeah, I heard it. I think you guys did too.
I meant to say you're doing a Halloween live.
So we're going to be doing a Halloween live on October 31st, Halloween. The exact time to be determined, the exact location to be determined. But the idea is a big Halloween party. We did this a few years ago. I was dressed up in this crazy Viking costume.
And you did some giveaways then.
We did giveaways. We had decorations. We had lights. It was so fun.
But this giveaway is special.
This is a really special one because what are we giving away on the Halloween party?
We're going to do... the Record-ology turntable.
That's right. If you
we
didn't
have two
see,
of them.
we have two of them. I'm keeping one. We're giving away one. And if you didn't see that show, a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, we actually had a pair of custom Record-ology record players, portables, built and branded and all this stuff. And we may do it as a sellable item down the road, but for right now, we wanted to do a special giveaway for sort of the kickoff of the holidays here. So we thought that the Halloween party would be a great place to do it. The exact details of how the winner will be selected that night remain to be determined, but you need to be there on the live show, on Halloween night to win. It'll be open to 18 and over only, and it will be open to international as well. We'll decide down the road a little bit more of the specifics in terms of the time we go live and the actual way that we choose the winner that night. It'll be part of the party.
Yes, so many things coming up and
yes,
so
indeed.
much excitement.
But tonight we would like to jump into a little discussion about manual versus automatic turntables.
Right. And I was curious, which is your favorite and which one do you feel like is better? And that's kind of a difficult question,
Yeah.
I know, because it depends
like 'em
on,
all.
it's
hard.
what experience are you looking for, right? But,
Exactly.
give us your take on that.
So in the office that we share, there are 4 turntables, which is ridiculous. But there are 4 turntables, and going left to right, we have the Philco 1949 slot loading automatic. Then we have the Sony, I think it's a PS310. Is it PS? I don't know. Anyway, it's the 310 BT Bluetooth Sony automatic, fully automatic. And then next we have the Audio-Technica LP60X, fully automatic. And then on the far right, we have the Technics SLB5, fully automatic changer. So as you can tell, I love my automatics.
Right. And so what do you think makes you love them so much? I mean, as opposed to a manual turntable.
So I personally, I have shaky hands. I kind of like to not, I've damaged styli before because number 1, I'm a bull in a china shop. Number 2, sometimes I don't have the steadiest hand, but I just think it's fun. It's cool. The idea of push button. I don't know. To me, that's more engaging. I think it's fun. That's probably the exact reason that people that like manual turntables would say they think it's more engaging because you're more involved. And the whole idea of a lot of us getting back into vinyl records is we want that tactile interaction with our media that requires us to focus attention on what we're doing in the moment, to not just aimlessly tap on a playlist that's, in a cloud somewhere and get distracted doing dishes and doing other stuff, but to really focus and hone our attention on the music, looking at liner notes, looking at album artwork. And I think that either automatic or manual, you can have that experience. But I think the manual folks would say it's probably a little bit more engaging to do it that way. But I like just the push button, it does everything. And if you leave the room, you get distracted. Or like they always say, you fall asleep while listening to records. Although I've never done that. You can rest assured that no damage is going to happen because it's going to shut itself off.
Right.
So how about you?
Good thing. Well, I'm mixed on this.
Okay.
I am a mixed person because on one hand, I love the idea of just it playing and,
right.
You can just kind of let it go. And then I also really love my U-turn table.
Which is fully manual.
Yeah, fully manual. So it's difficult. I guess it just depends, like I was saying, like what kind of experience are you looking for?
Right.
And at that in that moment.
In the moment.
Because, that can change for me.
Sure.
From kind of
moment
day
to
day.
moment. Yeah.
I was gonna say day to day.
So, and it's a really interesting talking point too, because, and we've touched on this before. By the way, we did a poll a couple of weeks ago. We asked folks between the 3, manual, semi-automatic, and fully automatic, what was your preference? And the results were split almost 3 ways evenly. I think it was 37%, and then the other 2 were 32 and 32%. So I think the winner by a slim margin was manual, but everybody was pretty evenly distributed on this. So I think that people seem to have always been very passionate about this. The manual people will tell you that the reasoning is that, there's less parts that can go wrong. There's less to worry about in terms of the audio chain impacting the sound quality, and they want to have that full, attention, locked in, loaded engagement with their media. And the automatic people will say kind of what I said, shaking hands, or they, if they leave the room, they don't want it, damaging anything, just spinning endlessly. So I think that everybody's right and everybody's wrong on this, which seems to be kind of the par for the course for so many things, especially in this hobby. But it's an interesting discussion. Also, it's something I've noticed too, doing the show, is that it seems like newer people to the hobby, I should say, are more apt, it seems, to prefer a manual experience. And I get the question, probably the number one question I'm asked most is, do you prefer an LP 60 or an LP 120? Which one should I get? I love that. Which one should I don't know which one should you get. What can you afford? Which do you prefer? One's manual, one's automatic. They're so different in in the way that they do things. So it's like, well, I don't know which one you would prefer per se. It really comes down to that. But some people start with the LP 60 and move to the 120 and don't miss going from a full auto to a full manual. But I've noticed that a lot of beginners seem to... Go ahead.
I was going to say, it probably just depends, too, like how much control you want to have.
And it seems like the newer people to the hobby prefer the manual experience, whereas people that have been doing this, for decades and decades, oftentimes grew up with changers and automatics just being the normal record player experience with a BSR console, or some sort of family entertainment center, family record player setup. Those were primarily automatic. So to them, I've had many folks of that background express to me that they feel it's absurd that a record player wouldn't auto return at a minimum, and that they wouldn't want anything that doesn't, I've had people say they're useless. If they don't auto return, it's useless. And obviously that's an extreme, but it's interesting. People are pretty passionate about it.
Right. You definitely feel one way or the other maybe about that. And, or maybe you have a love for both. I mean, I think you can develop that probably over time.
And I do appreciate both. And you were saying, I don't know if you mentioned it, but we were talking about this earlier, and you were saying that you thought because I like to, I'm very tactile in a lot of ways.
Right. Yeah.
That you were surprised that maybe that I wanted the automatic over the manual.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have talked about this in the past, and when you mentioned, or when we had talked together about this before, I was just surprised because you're very, very tactile. And so I thought you would want that experience, fiddling around with all of those kinds of elements and that kind of thing. But no, you actually prefer the automatic.
Yeah. Now, it's interesting. On the weekends, or, when I'm not in the office, because,
Well, and time is a factor.
Time is a factor as well.
Right, yeah.
And I'll just grab a portable and, lug it into the living room or wherever if I want to listen to a record. Those are usually manual, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. I enjoy those immensely. I really, really, really love the Victrola Respin. It's just a little ceramic system. They're dirt cheap. I think now they may be rolling them off, so they're going for next to nothing. And I just love that thing. Fully manual. Actually, it has auto stop, but it's not auto return or anything. And I just really enjoy sitting there with a record and putting it on. I have no problem doing that. But given the choice, I think that I prefer the automatic experience. And, thinking back to like my grandparents, both of them on either side, my mom's side, my dad's side, both had those consoles where it had the BSR type changer, which is kind of the way it was,
Right.
And they certainly weren't listening to DJ type turntables like a Technics SL1200 or a LP 120 or a Pioneer PL 500 or something like that. They weren't looking at strobes, and they weren't, doing all that stuff.
Right.
They weren't thinking about VTA. They just were putting a record on and making music happen. I think there was a lot less thought that went into that than, we assume there might have been now. We're not, a lot of us in this hobby are hyper obsessed over the details, but I think a lot of folks just wanted music to happen.
Right. I think so too. Yeah.
And I think those are the people that in today's day and age are probably just streaming music because they just want music to happen.
Right.
So there's probably some analog
I
you
am
could draw
guilty
between the
of
two.
that.
Well, we all listen to streaming. That's a topic for another day.
Right, exactly.
We all listen to streaming. We make good use of our Apple Music subscription for sure.
So now the question is, if you're stranded on a deserted island and there's some kind of remarkable power source out there,
Okay.
which turntable do you take with you?
Gosh.
And which record? And you only get one. One
this is
turntable,
painful.
one record.
You know, I'm going to grab the Respin because it's, like I said, it's a great little portable. You know, it's got a little mono speaker. I don't need a crazy sound system out there on my deserted island. I'm just going to be grateful there's music. Now, what music do I play? I am very fickle. My opinion, my favorites change like the time of day continuously. So how could I pick just one? I don't know, because
you have to do it.
in one moment it'd be Glenn Miller, in another moment it'd be Patsy Cline, in another moment it'd be
but
Bing
you
Crosby.
only get one.
Okay, I want
It can
to.
be only one.
I know which one. I would have a record of you singing.
No.
One of your records, because I would love to have that
That's
if I had to pick
sweet
only
and
one.
corny, but I don't believe you.
No, it's absolutely true. If the house catches fire and I literally can only grab one or two records, it's going to be your records, and it's going to be a record of my uncle playing an acetate I have playing a clarinet, and my mom's high school choir record that aren't. There's nothing more precious than those one of a kind. Everything else can be replaced.
Right.
You know what I mean? But these one-offs, these very special things with people I love are the most important. So,
You are super sweet.
well, there's my corny answer. All right. Speaking of corn, do you guys like candy corn? Let us know in the comments down below.
Yeah, and one last thing.
Yeah.
I watched that great pumpkin show.
Yeah, we did. We watched it, and I think I've seen it before.
Well, right. We saw it before, but now that kid, Linus,
Yeah.
he,
Poor guy
yeah.
gets dragged out of the pumpkin patch.
I forgot.
half frozen.
Yes. And
They did
I
him
was
dirty.
thinking, that is terrible. And you know that, here's the thing, you guys. This is what you need to know. That guy's going to be looking for that guy again this
Next
year.
year. Yeah, exactly. So will you be part of it? You know, that's the question.
Well,
I think that maybe he'll come.
come.
Maybe he'll come. There's always next year. So.
Yeah.
All right, my friends, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Unnamed Podcast. This is week 7, hopefully 7 of many more to come. Thank you for engaging with us and really being a part of this in a big way. It's a lot of fun. It's very different than the regular videos, and it's a lot of fun to see it come together.
Yeah, we have a great time, and we hope that you guys don't take anything we say too seriously.
No, because we certainly don't. So, all right, that's going to do it, guys. We'll see you next
right.
time.
See you next time.